Good morning. It's December 18th, 2013. Not the best weather to debut my cattle panel greenhouse, but I guess I got to work with what I got. I'm located in Chenango County in New York State, and you can see it's wintertime. Today it's a balmy 25 degrees this morning. Yesterday was 12, and the day before that was 0. I've had about 14 to 16 inches of snow in the last week. Just a quick pan around the garden here. Everything is pretty much buried. I have 2 wicking beds there, and buried under the snow here are 4 rain gutter grow systems. The rain gutters, you can go out to Larry Hall's channel and see how to build them. And Bob down in Australia, you can go to his channel and see how he does the wicking beds. Temperature ranges in my area can go from over 100 degrees in the summertime. I've been here 22 years, and I've gotten down to about 30 below in the wintertime. Design considerations. Obviously, snow load was a big consideration. The one highest snow total for one storm is 30 inches. Another consideration was the wind. I'm on the 3rd highest hilltop in the county. I can go a week with continuous 30-mile-an-hour winds. I considered a Harbor Freight greenhouse, but after I read the reviews, I really felt that the wind would just tear it apart. I took Texas Prepper's 2 original design, and I've made quite a few changes, and those are what I'll address here. You can go to his channel and see how he built it. The greenhouse is 14 feet long and 8 feet wide. It's just over 7 feet at the top. There's 6'9" clear at the ridge. I changed the door from swinging in to opening outward. The greenhouse is covered with 6mm 4-year poly. I purchased it from A.M. Leonard. It's a remnant, and their prices are excellent. The poly extends about 6 to 8 inches outward from the bottom and each end, and that is buried under about 4 inches of mulch, and all that is done to try to keep the wind from working its way inside the greenhouse. The door opens outward instead of swinging in for 2 reasons. First of all, it doesn't encroach on the space inside the greenhouse, and this is the north-facing side of the greenhouse, and the wind blows directly against it. And by having the door swing out, when the wind hits this, it's trying to close the door instead of open the door. And you see, I've left the plastic long here, so as the wind blows, it seals it instead of trying to force wind inside the greenhouse. Now, to keep the plastic in place, instead of using wood, I've used plastic or vinyl lattice, and this is screen molding. And I use sheet metal screws. I really like these screws. They worked well to hold the battens in place. And if I need to, it's nice. I can just take these screws out and take the battens off if I need to replace the plastic or if something happens. Again, I was pleased how the door turned out. It took me about 4 hours of messing around to get this right, but this is all steel, and it just sounds nice. It's just a nice solid sound, and I don't have to worry about it breaking. Another thing I did was I took the plastic and I ran it over the top of the hinges. And another benefit of having the door open outward, this extends over the hinges and under this batten here. So this edge of the door is sealed. No wind can get through here at all. I was pleased on that. Another advantage of the vinyl is maintenance free. It'll never rot or crack. And I'll tell you what, try doing that with a piece of wood. It'll just split. On this edge here, Texas Prepper 2, he shows you how to do the darts. Well, because the door is offset, and the door is offset for a reason, as you'll see here shortly, I couldn't get the darts to fold nicely on this side here. And by the way, the minimum installation temperature that they recommend is 59 degrees for the poly. Well, I was nowhere near that, and I was pushing my luck, so I decided to put sleepers, wooden sleepers on the inside, and I took a heat gun and I warmed that molding up, that vinyl molding, and I just shaped it to this shape of the greenhouse, and then I used screws to secure it. And I did not get done. The weather just got me. I mean, I finished up one day and I had snow on the ground the next. It was just too cold. I was out here with lights trying to get this poly finished up. But that's what she looks like from this end. I still got more to do, but like I say, the weather just got me. Dug down in the snow here. You can see I got about 1.5 feet of snow on the side of the greenhouse now. I took the vinyl lattice and I started the screws along the entire strip, and the strips are 8 feet long, and that helped immensely. And when I went to put screw the poly down, I didn't need an extra hand to hold the screws because they were already started. So I mounted the lattice on the top of the bottom 2x4, and I tightened it up as much as I could. I may have to go back when the temperatures warm up and tighten things up, but since I use screws, I can just back them up, tighten the poly up, and screw them back down into the 2x4. Chilly temperatures. The greenhouse is oriented north and south. I would have liked to have it east and west, but it just blocked my view out into my woods too much. So I have it north and south. And I had 2 existing wicking beds that I wanted to put the greenhouse around to try to grow some lettuce and spinach in the winter time. And to move the wicking beds, they were just 2 frozen solid blocks, and it just wasn't possible to move them. So in the future, if I really feel the need to move this thing, I can, but we're going to give this a go for right now. And I estimate the greenhouse weighs about 400 pounds as it's sitting there right now. So we'll go inside and see what kind of silliness I have going on in there. And it's been about 2 hours since I filmed the outside of the structure, and it's warmed up considerably in here. It was about 25 degrees at 9 o'clock, and on the south end it's just under 60 degrees. And it was kind of a rush when all that snow slid off. It got kind of noisy in here for a couple seconds. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 360 degree pan, and I'll be quiet, and then I'll start at the bottom and work my way all the way to the top. So here we go. It's almost 360 degrees. So I guess I'll start right down at the floor and then work my way up. On the floor I purchased off eBay some pond liner underlayment. It's kind of a felt material, and it's actually quite rugged. I've used this stuff in the past just so I could have a little nicer surface to walk on, and it's black. It'll help absorb some heat, at least I'm hoping. And underneath that, and just a side note here, when it starts to thaw out in here, it rains. So that's, if you see the drops coming down, that's what's going on. Underneath the liner underlayment, I have some weed barrier that I put down, and here's the cross braces on the frame. And like Texas Prepper 2, ooh, I even have a live spider. Like Texas Prepper 2, I used the fencing staples to hold it on. That back. Now I have extremely high winds up here, so I have 8 40-inch half-inch rebars driven into the ground at opposing angles, and here's one here. And I feel that since this is driven at an angle and then there's others driven at opposing angles, it's going to take a lot more to pull them out of the ground than if they were just driven in straight. So I guess that covers the base. Now I purchased 7 cattle panels. And if you purchase these things, and if you can get them home without bending them all up, I've seen some guys on YouTube, they just take and bend them in half and put them in the back of the truck. I guess you can do that, but boy, it sure is a lot nicer if you can get them home flat. I had one, I did haul them flat, but when I was building this thing, I had one that I bent, and to get it straightened out so it was usable, it took some effort. In any case, 7 cattle panels, and the structure is welded together. I just welded them here. And to get the 7 foot clear, I had to add 27 inches to each panel. And the seam is right here. I just cut the 27 inches and I just welded it on the end of a full length panel. And it worked out well. It gives you nice height. I mean, right here is 6 foot. So I can walk right up against the side of the greenhouse and I don't have to worry about banging my head, and it gives me nice clearance to walk around these IBC totes. Again, there's a south-facing window. Of course, I gotta have time and temperature. Gotta have that. I don't have the solar operator on it yet, but I have many months before I need that. Again, like Texas Prepper 2, I used the foam over the metal. Obviously, the one difference is I went with the cattle panels all the way around, even on the ends, because I needed the strength. Took me 3 days to build the basic structure. My main goal for this structure is to be able to grow spinach and lettuce in the wintertime. They're kind of cooler weather crops anyway. And these totes were here originally, just where they're sitting. And I had to lift the greenhouse up and put them over the totes. That tote there had a hoop house over it, and it was covered, and actually I harvested lettuce right up almost to the end of November. I was really pleased. This IBC tote was left exposed, and as you can see, this puppy's frozen solid. So I'm not even going to worry about this. This will just thaw out when it feels like it. Up at the top, because of the snow load, and honestly, I can't see this thing without some added structure ever withstanding any kind of snow. When I was building it, before I put the ridge beam up there, I could pull down on those cattle panels and this thing would just bulge. And I feel if I got like a foot of snow up there, it would just collapse. So didn't want to go there, didn't want to try it. So this is a 2x6 by 14 foot ridge beam, and I just cut a saddle on that 2x4, and that 2x4 comes all the way down, and I have a carriage bolted to the frame. So if that collapses, I think I got a whole lot more to worry about than this coming down. Over here, okay, I've got power coming in, and I just can't afford to heat the greenhouse. I did a heat loss study on this. There are calculators online, and it would take 28,000 BTUs to keep this at 40 degrees. And to me, that was just not possible. I don't want to grow lettuce that cost me $50 a head. It just does not make sense. So, in any case, there I have a kilowatt, and right now I'm drawing 102 watts of power for the grow lights that are in this IBC tote. And all this stuff is homemade. There's, you know, I'm reaching out there on some of these things. I have 2 timers. This timer here controls the grow lights. They come on at 6 o'clock in the morning and they turn off at 6 o'clock at night, and they're drawing 102 watts of power. Now this timer here is connected to 2 experimental soil warmers that I dreamt up. They come on at about 5 o'clock at night, and then they go off about 7 o'clock in the morning. So there's about a half an hour overlap between the 2 systems, because I didn't want the beds to cool down at all. And like I say, those heaters are working well, but they are extremely experimental, and I'll leave it at that. And they draw about 115 watts of power. Okay. So, again, what I'm trying to do is grow lettuce and spinach in the wintertime. Now, I planted this crop on the 15th. That's 3 days ago. Now, we come down in here. Actually, I was tickled to death. 3 days. I have seedlings coming up. Spinach and lettuce. There's one back there. On the surface, it's 59 degrees and 72% humidity. Oops, there's another one. Which is just about perfect for lettuce. And I have a temperature probe from my smoker down in the soil here. And the temperature there, you can see here, is 68 degrees. I can't believe I can get it much better than that. That's just about perfect for lettuce. So, like I say, the lights will run till 6 p.m. then turn off. And I have, watching some videos on YouTube, they recommend putting bubble wrap on the inside of the greenhouse. Well, again, I can't afford to heat the greenhouse. But we're going to try to keep this bed going and see what happens. And if you didn't notice, I also put in a center column here to support any excess weight. I didn't want to wind up with a sway back, and it helps support that shelf there. I got a little shelf down there to hold my tools. On the door, again, I used the cattle panels for everything, and I just sandwiched the cattle panel in between some furring strips, and this door is rugged. There's no sag. If this sags, I got some problems. But again, it just works nicely. Nothing fancy. I scrap metal and part of an old tractor tire chain, but it just works nice. I mean, like I say, it's still cold in here. I don't care if it says 60 degrees down there. It's still cold enough to keep it from thawing out. A couple other things here. I put plastic over all the electronic devices because, like I said, it rains in here big time when it thaws out every day. But that's it. That's the latest craziness here. If you have any comments or questions, I'll do my best to answer.